All right, welcome back. Today we're going to be taking a deep dive into something you've been wanting to explore, new workout techniques.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Specifically, this one called ISO squat, which really caught your eye. And I have to admit, the name alone had me kind of curious.
Yeah.
We've got the squat, obviously,
Right.
but that ISO prefix.
Yeah, what's that all about?
Exactly.
Well, that ISO is short for isotonic,
Okay.
which means constant muscle tension.
Oh, interesting.
And that's makes this technique really interesting.
Yeah.
It's all about maintaining that tension throughout the entire exercise
Okay.
using a special device called the IsoTone.
So the IsoTone is key here.
Yeah.
Before we get into the how-to, I'm actually curious about the why.
Mm-hmm.
What problem does this constant tension solve? Is it more effective than lifting weights?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Think about a regular squat with weights. The resistance changes with gravity.
Okay.
It's heaviest at the bottom and lighter as you stand. But with the IsoTone, that resistance stays consistent.
Uh-huh.
So, theoretically, your muscles are working harder for longer, potentially leading to faster strength gains.
Interesting.
Some studies on isotonic training suggest this could be the case.
So it's not just about lifting heavier.
Right.
It's about making every inch of the movement count.
Yeah.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
But we're also talking about squats.
Yeah.
Which are usually considered a strength exercise.
Right.
And yet the source material you sent, this isosquat.pdf, keeps mentioning the aerobic element.
Mm-hmm.
How does that fit in?
It's fascinating, right?
Yeah.
It seems iso squat is a bit of a hybrid,
Okay.
blending strength training with cardio.
Mm-hmm.
The source emphasizes forceful breathing throughout the exercise,
Okay.
which isn't something you typically focus on with traditional squats.
Yeah. No, not really.
It seems this breathing technique is crucial to engaging the cardiovascular system.
So it's like HIAT,
Kinda. Yeah.
but with constant tension instead of intervals?
Exactly.
I'm starting to see how this could be a really efficient workout.
And speaking of efficiency,
Yeah.
there are actually two variations of iso squat.
Oh, okay.
Iso squat front
Uh-huh.
and iso squat back.
Okay, so before we get lost in the variations, can you paint us a picture of this IsoTone device?
Sure.
What are we actually working with here?
It's a handheld resistance device.
Okay.
But unlike weights,
Mhm.
the resistance comes from actively squeezing and expanding it.
Interesting.
Picture those spring-loaded hand grips,
Yeah.
but imagine a more sophisticated mechanism that
Yeah.
provides consistent,
Uh-huh.
dynamic resistance throughout the entire range of motion.
Interesting. So no clunky weights or gym memberships required.
Nope.
You could theoretically do this anywhere.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, walk us through these variations then.
Okay.
What's the difference between an iso squat front and back?
Both variations begin in a medium squat.
Okay.
But for front, you hold the isotone in front of you, arms extended.
Okay.
For back, you hold it behind you, close to your glutes.
Right.
Now imagine this.
Yeah.
You squeeze the isotone's handles
Uh-huh.
while simultaneously straightening your legs to stand.
So you're actively pushing against the isotone's resistance as you come up.
Exactly.
I'm curious, how does that feel compared to a regular squat?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
And unfortunately,
Yeah.
the document doesn't go into the subjective experience.
Oh, okay.
But from a biomechanics perspective, the continuous tension likely engages the muscles in a different way.
Okay.
You're not getting that momentary release at the top of the movement,
Gotcha.
like you would with a regular squat.
Okay, so what happens on the way down?
That's the expand phase.
Okay.
As you squat back down,
Yeah.
you pull the isotone handles apart,
Mm.
again working against that constant resistance.
Hmm.
And the key here
Yeah.
is that the transition between these phases
Okay.
needs to be immediate and explosive.
Oh, wow.
No pausing at the top or bottom.
It's interesting.
It's a continuous flow of exertion.
Interesting. That constant engagement must really get the heart rate up.
It does.
So, do you have to do both variations in a single workout? Or can you focus on just one?
The source recommends alternating between front and back, doing sets of 10-15 reps for each.
Gotcha.
They suggest starting with more front reps,
Uh-huh.
as the back variation is more challenging.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I can see how that back and forth would provide a more balanced workout.
Right.
And prevent muscle fatigue.
Exactly.
But why is the back variation considered more challenging? What makes it different?
Likely the change in leverage and muscle activation.
Okay.
Holding the isotone behind you probably requires more core stability and back strength to maintain proper form.
Ah, so it's not just about targeting different muscle groups.
Right.
But also adding a new dimension of difficulty.
Yeah.
Very clever. So we've got this constant tension,
Mm-hmm.
2 variations,
Uh-huh.
and a focus on breathing. What else does the source highlight about iso squat?
Well, this leads to a particularly interesting point about posture.
Oh. Okay, now that's a benefit I wasn't expecting.
Yeah.
Most people associate squats with leg strength,
Right.
not posture.
Mm-hmm.
How does iso squat address posture specifically?
It comes down to the starting position
Okay.
and maintaining an upright torso throughout the movement.
Mm.
The document emphasizes
Yeah.
keeping the chest, the neck slightly stressed. This constant engagement, combined with the resistance of the IsoTone, seems to work those often neglected postural muscles.
So it's almost like a built-in posture check
Right.
with every rep.
Yeah.
You're forced to maintain proper form.
Exactly.
Otherwise, the exercise becomes even harder.
Precisely. And that's what I find so ingenious about this technique.
Yeah.
It's not just about brute force.
Mm-hmm.
It's about mindful movement.
Yeah.
And engaging the right muscles.
I'm starting to understand why this iso squat thing caught your attention.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a multitasking exercise.
Yeah.
Hitting strength, cardio, and posture all in one go.
That's right.
But you know me.
Yeah.
I'm a visual learner.
Right.
Does the source give us any clues about what this IsoTone device actually looks like?
Unfortunately, there are no visuals provided.
Oh, okay.
However,
Yeah.
based on the description of squeezing and expanding handles,
Uh-huh.
I envision something compact
Okay.
and portable, maybe resembling those spring-loaded hand grips,
Right.
but with a more advanced mechanism
Yeah.
for that smooth, continuous resistance.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be very practical if you needed a whole weight rack to do this.
No, not really.
So portability is a definite plus.
For sure.
Speaking of practicality,
Yeah.
the source also highlights the aerobic nature of iso squat, even suggesting it as a good warm-up exercise for the entire body.
Right.
Why is it so effective for that? What makes it different from, say, jumping jacks or a light jog?
It's the combination of continuous muscle engagement,
Okay.
forceful breathing, and the fact that it targets so many major muscle groups simultaneously. And remember, with iso squat, you're constantly working against resistance, even on the eccentric or lowering phase, which demands more energy. And that deep powerful breathing isn't just about getting oxygen.
Right.
It's about actively engaging the cardiovascular system.
So you're not just warming up your muscles, you're also priming your heart and lungs for a workout.
Exactly.
That's pretty efficient.
That's the beauty of this technique.
Yeah.
Efficiency. It's like packing multiple workouts into one.
Okay, let's circle back to those 2 variations for a moment.
Okay.
We talked about the BACK variation being more challenging.
Yeah.
But the document doesn't really explain why. Some listeners might be wondering, is it just about working different muscles?
Sure.
What are your thoughts on that?
It's not just about different muscles.
Okay.
Although the BACK variation likely does engage the posterior chain more intensely. I suspect the increased challenge comes from the shift in leverage and the demands on stability.
Right.
Holding the IsoTone behind you changes your center of gravity.
Yeah.
And forces you to work harder to maintain balance and proper form.
Interesting.
This likely requires greater core strength and control.
Okay.
Adding another layer of difficulty.
So it's not just a matter of switching up the targeted muscle groups.
Right.
It's also about adding a new dimension of complexity and requiring more from your stabilizing muscles.
Exactly. And this layered approach is what makes iso squat so intriguing.
Yeah.
It's not just a simple exercise. It's a well-designed system that considers multiple training elements simultaneously.
I have to admit, I'm starting to get really excited about the potential of this technique.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It seems like it could address a lot of common fitness goals in a really time-efficient way.
For sure.
What about you?
Yeah.
What's standing out to you the most about iso squat?
For me, it's the emphasis on immediate and explosive transitions between the squeeze and expand phases. This concept of maintaining constant tension, not allowing for any pauses or momentum breaks, really fascinates me.
That's right. The document was very specific about that.
Yeah.
Why do you think that's so important?
I think it serves several purposes.
Okay.
First, it keeps the muscles under constant load, maximizing the training stimulus. Second, It reinforces the aerobic element.
Right.
Keeping the heart rate elevated throughout the entire set.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also a neurological component.
Oh, interesting.
This kind of explosive, continuous movement likely requires greater coordination and neuromuscular control, potentially enhancing athleticism and overall movement efficiency.
That's a fascinating perspective.
Yeah.
I hadn't even considered the neurological benefits.
It's pretty cool.
So it's not just about building bigger muscles or burning more calories. It's about training your body to move more efficiently as a whole.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It's about optimizing movement patterns.
Yeah.
And enhancing your body's ability to generate and control force.
I'm seeing iso squat in a whole new light now. It's not just the strength exercise. Right. It's a movement pattern enhancer.
Exactly.
And that has implications beyond just squatting.
Yeah, for sure.
It makes you think, doesn't it?
It certainly does. And that brings me to another point the source touches on. It certainly does. And that brings me to another point. The source touches on the importance of listening to the IsoTone exercise instructions.
Oh, right.
In the IsoTone Collection podcast.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
Yeah.
It seems like they're really emphasizing proper form with this technique.
Uh-huh.
Why do you think that is?
Well, anytime you introduce a new exercise, especially one that involves continuous resistance and dynamic movements, proper form becomes paramount.
Yeah. Of course.
It's not just about maximizing effectiveness.
Right.
It's about preventing injuries.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want to jump into this without understanding the nuances of the technique.
No, definitely not.
So for our listener who's been diligently taking notes on all the fascinating details of iso squat, let's do a quick recap before we wrap up.
Okay, sounds good.
We've been talking about iso squat.
Right.
A unique exercise that combines strength training and cardio. Using this specialized device called the IsoTone.
Yep.
And the key to this technique is maintaining constant muscle tension throughout the entire range of motion, which is achieved by squeezing and expanding the IsoTone in sync with the squat movement.
Exactly.
We also discussed the two variations, iso squat front and the more challenging iso squat back. Yeah. Both of which offer unique benefits and challenges.
That's right.
And let's not forget the importance of forceful breathing throughout the exercise.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Which elevates the heart rate and turns iso squat into a true hybrid workout.
Right.
Targeting both strength and cardiovascular fitness.
It really is.
And all of this while engaging those crucial postural muscles.
Yeah.
Potentially leading to improved posture over time.
That's right.
It really is a comprehensive approach to training.
It is.
So what does this all mean for you, dear listener?
Yeah.
Well, we encourage you to consider how this technique could fit into your own fitness goals.
Are you looking for a time-efficient way to build strength?
Improve your cardiovascular health.
And enhance your posture?
Are you intrigued by new training principles?
And the idea of maximizing muscle engagement?
If so, iso squat might be worth exploring further.
It might be.
And remember, even if this specific technique isn't for you, the principles we've discussed today, constant tension, explosive transitions, mindful movement, can be applied to other exercises as well.
Exactly.
Perhaps this deep dive has sparked a new idea for you.
Maybe you'll be the one to invent iso push-ups.
Or iso lunges.
The possibilities are endless.
I love that. And a huge thank you to our expert for guiding us through this deep dive into iso squat.
It's been fun.
It's been a fascinating exploration.
It has been.
And to you, our listener, thanks for joining us.
We appreciate you.
We'll see you next time for another deep dive into a topic that's sure to spark your curiosity and expand your knowledge.